Well, I priced renting a hole saw, and it was only $5. But decided to stop at Home Depot, and one of the very knowledgeable guys over there that I always deal with said that this was for metal, and it says metal on it. The only thing I have to add is a quarter-inch bit, because it doesn't have the pilot bit in there, but it has the mandrel and everything, and I think the mandrel's all in one. I bought this for $12.97. You might as well say $13. Anyways, at least they own it. I think an 1 3/4 hole would be a good safe bet, rather than to try to do a 2-inch hole. 2-inch hole saw was a few dollars more, but that's not the point. The point is that I don't want to make it any wider than the channel that captive nut is in. So I got this, and I can, if I don't open it and I don't use it, of course, I can return it. Whereas if I rent, I have to pay, even though it's only $5. So that's what we're going to do. So we've got this, and we'll get started on trying to remove that other bolt. Alright, what I did is I went to my hardware store and I bought 3 different length bolts. A 4-inch, a 4.5, and a 5-inch. They don't have threads all the way down to almost the end like the original bolt does in the body mount, but if I get the right length, you only need to worry about this area anyhow. Now, I'm only going to use these if I can't get the top nut free. In other words, if it spins around, then I have to go and saw the bolt off and put it up through the top when I drill that hole with that hole saw. Now, unfortunately, I had to spray some WD-40 up in there instead of PB Blaster, because PB Blaster, there is no provision on the cap to put this extension hose in on here. So there's a hole in the frame made so that I can stick my finger up in there and I can just barely feel the edge of the nut that's in there. But I can't get PB Blaster up in there, so I had to put WD-40. What I'm going to do now, get my 3/4 inch impact 6-point socket. We're going to try to remove that. I don't know. It is just not moving. She's moving a tiny bit. I'm going forward and going backwards. Am I still recording? I guess I am. Sorry I don't have any light here. I could get my light out. Oh, she's turning. She's turning. Let me get my PB Blaster out of the way. And you see, I can shoot PB Blaster up in there like I did the other side, but I can only do it from here. You won't be able to see the hole I'm talking about, but there's a hole on the other side of this frame. I can reach in and I can touch the top nut. Oh wow, she's turning good. Alright, now we're going to put a ratchet on that. To go forward and get to breathe. I can feel that nut turning like this, but as long as she stays captive in there. I plan on using the same bolt again. Okay, we'll continue. Forward. hear a lot of that rust up in there, grinding away. Let me take that off a minute there. Now, of course, I put all this rubber and the clamp and everything on there. As if you've been following the videos in the order that I've been uploading them, you'll see that I temporarily, on the passenger side, Rube Goldberg this with what the video was called, half-assed cab mount temporary repair, I think it was, something like that. Anyways, all right, so we are the whole thing just is spinning around here, but the nut is still holding. The main thing is that the nut don't spin around. And if I get this out when I'm ready to put new rubber up on the top here, at that time I'll loosen the driver's side so I can gently jack the cab up just enough to slide new rubber in there. Now if I don't use that hole saw, this thing could still round off, you know, spin out. But if I don't use that hole saw, I'll bring it back and save myself 13 and change. Not a problem. Okay, let's go. We're gonna turn that in, and then we'll go back out again. We'll stop the video now. You're gonna say she's loose. Now, some of the guys have said, bang it up, and that'll loosen it. Well, you don't really want to do that because then you're gonna drive the captive nut right out of its holder. And not exactly knowing how it sits in there because I'm not able to see in that closed channel. Obviously, you can hear she's loose as a goose, and as long as she's captive, that's the main thing. We just take our time. We turn in, we turn out. Turning in, and that way it cleans, try to get the rust off the threads, because that's what's holding it up here. Right now it's tightening up pretty much, and that's you got to be careful of here. What I'm going to do is I can't use my PB blaster in there, so I'm going to have to shoot some more WD-40 in up in that hole. I'm going to get the flashlight out, and I'm going to show you what the hole is, where the hole is that I shoot up the WD-40 in this case. The things I go through to supply you with a video, folks. See that hole right there? That's my WD-40 you see running out of there. Well, there's a hole in the frame that's made for that, and I can stick my finger in there and just barely feel some kind of a nut and rust and so forth. So we're going to shoot some more. I'm going to try to get some PB blaster in there, but the problem is it don't have an extension on it. As I said, you can't put a extension nozzle on the PB blaster because the cap doesn't have that little depression in there, and the cap don't come off to replace it with another one. So we're not going to get involved with that. We're just going to try some PB blaster in there. But it looks like the WD-40 is going to have to be the way to go. Now you see down here, there's a hole here with drain and everything. I thought of taking a rubber hose. I tried to shove it up in there, but it gets caught on this angle here, this bend, and then you can't get the hose up in there, and then there's no way to get anything up in there other than my squirt oil, and I don't want to put oil up in there. WD-40 is bad enough to put in there. I have no idea if I'm in line. No idea at all, and I just hope it doesn't get into the camera. Well, I'm going to have to spray from this way. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that because I've got to use WD-40. I can't get the spray in there. All it's going to do is spray straight up in the hole. So I'll have to use the WD-40. You think when they sell you that stuff, that PB blaster, they give you a proper nozzle on the thing so you can spray it. Okay. Alright. I don't really want to put any oil up in there any more than I have to, because I don't want to rot the rubber out in the event that I may not be able to get the job done complete today. I could at least put the bolt back in. Main thing is to get the bolt loose, lubricated, clean the threads off like I did on the driver's side if you've been following my videos. And you know, we got to put that, like I say, if you've been following the videos, I cut out a 2 1/8 inch hole in that rubber, and that's going to go in here. So what we're going to do right now, give it a turn, a couple turns this way. See if I can move this light. Isn't really any good way to put the light for you, because I'm really in my own light here. Try to keep my gray head out of the way of the camera here. I'm trying to go gentle. You know, there's resistance here. And I gotta go forward. Now what I'm gonna do is spray some more WD-40 up in there. I'll come back on the camera in a minute here. Alright, tightener, and try to take some more turns out here. She's going easier. That's a good sign so far. She's a little hard now, but we're just going gentle. You don't want to go crazy with it. Now we'll turn a couple turns in. I know some of the guys had mentioned that's the way to take bolts out, and I've been doing it that way for years myself. So yeah, you got rust on the threads, you want to go in and then turn out, then turn in and go out. That kind of cleans the threads somewhat of the rust. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get the bolt out though. But, you know, my videos on car repairs are for the do-it-yourselfers that don't have very much money like myself. You know, and
folks, the destination of this coach is Hazard, Kentucky. We're due there at 5:15.
Alright. There you go. There she be. There she is. Alright, let's examine this outside in the sunlight. Okay. Now, first of all, you can see, I could bring it into macro, but we got threads all but the last inch or so of the bolt here. You know, this bolt's still quite usable. It just got a buggered up, seized on what's left of the washer here at the end, just like the other one did. So I can wrap some tape around this, stick this in the vise, and file this off. I have a bench grinder that I can grind this off, but the problem is I don't have any bench room to put the grinder, and I have to bolt it down, and I'm not going to do it out here. So what we're going to do, first of all, this is very sharp, by the way. We're just going to clean a little bit of the threads off here with the wire brush, and I want to see if these 1/2 inch nuts that are on these are going to fit. I bet you it's a damn crappy metric. And see why I hate metric, but you know, it's a 1991 Dodge Dakota, for those of you who are just new to this video. And I'm sure that they probably used metric in 1991. They didn't use them before then, but it's got a 3/4 inch head. It takes a 3/4 inch socket on the head. And as close as I could read this bolt diameter here, in my drill gauge, it's 1/2 inch. So we're going to do, I don't expect this to be taking a nut, but the only reason I'm saying this is because I could probably replace the bolt with one of these. No, it's not going to go on. This must be metric. So I got my choice. I can reuse this bolt, which I don't see any reason why not to, or go down and pay $7 for a metric bolt, which is only going to have this much thread on it, because they showed me already. It's only going to have this much thread. You're not going to have this thread here. And so if it's in a position where I'm compressing the rubber down here and I run out of threads, well, screwed, blued, and tattooed. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to examine this under a magnifying glass. I'm going to clean this really good, and I'm going to decide. I got to clean this head off here. I don't know if that's really in focus or not, but got it on macro. I cleaned the threads as much as I could with the wire brush. I put it in the vise. My vise was able to grab right at this point here, so it didn't mess up the threads. And I wire brushed the hell out of it. And double checked, and those nuts on that 1/2 inch will not fit. So this is definitely metric, or it's fine threads, American Standard. But either way, I think it doesn't look too healthy in here. There's kind of like a little buggered up in here, in this area. But I could go and try to get the right bolt. The problem is I'm going to have to drive the truck without this bolt in there so I can match it up. Originally, I got these 3 sizes because I didn't take the time, didn't think of measuring the bolt length. But I knew it was somewhere between 4 and 5 inches long. So, anyways, that is the story. But don't care too much for what it looks like in here. But don't forget, this is where the point is. Comes down, and I asked them at the hardware store, you're going to have to go to the dealer to get that, and that probably cost me 20 bucks a bolt, and no way in hell. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to clean this off. So we can file this off somehow. Alright, I file it so it's not sharp. I don't have to take all this off, because I'm going to put a washer on there. Now we can take this protective masking tape off here, and I can put the washer back in there. You know, I wish these washers were a little bigger around, but then when they're bigger around, they have a larger hole in the center. The other option I was going to do, which I meant to show you on the camera, is this. Simple electrical plate covers. I was going to drill the 1/2 inch hole in the center and take my hacksaw and cut around. It doesn't have to be a round circle. I can just cut it off so that, in other words, it'll be bigger around, bigger area on the rubber than this little thing. I can't match the bolt up if I can't drive the truck down. I got nothing else to put in there to replace it. Hardware store's 5 miles from me, so I'm not about to walk it. So what I'm going to do is I think we're going to put that rubber in here. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, here is a 2-inch washer that fits perfectly on this, but it's too loose on the bolt. But you know what? I don't think it's going to hurt anything, because this here, if you look here, this washer that's embedded on the head of this thing, just like the other side was, kind of like cone shaped almost, and it'll hold it in place. What I'm going to do is drive this on there. Yeah, be as easy as I think it is. Well, just screw it on there. That is a 1/2 inch hole, but of course, you know, when you're drilling rubber, you know, it's not like drilling on wood. It's quite different. This thing is still sharp here. We'll put this in for now. These 3 bolts here only cost me $3, and the 2 washers only $3.50, so I ain't going to worry about bringing those back to my local hardware store, because I never know when you need bolts. You got them. But when you're talking a $7 bolt, over $7 for a metric bolt, it does make a difference, because that's $14, you know, or more, $15 counting the tax. Every dollar counts when you're doing stuff yourself. One of the guys gave me a link to an auction that has some cab mounts, but that's almost $70, but that's a whole set of cab mounts, and I didn't see any washers or bolts with it. But I'm not going to replace everything. I can't get at the front ones, and the front ones, although the bottom rubber is pretty well gone, they're not loose. I'm going to leave well enough alone. It's the rear cab mounts that give you the problem. Now, I'm going to go get my 3/4 inch socket and tighten that down on there. You know, that looks pretty damn good. All I got to do is just center that. When I screw that up in there, just make sure it's centered on that rubber, and push that right up in there. Make sure I oil this good first, though. Okay, we'll come back on in a minute. Well, guys, we got some big changes here. There seems to be a metal sleeve that is on the passenger side that was not on the driver's side. And where I put my C-clamp and everything, a hose clamp, I should say, there's a sleeve inside, a metal sleeve, and I'm going to show you. Well, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take this off and just put a washer on there and bolt this thing up in there. I have to re-oil this, because I wiped off the oil so I can get this rubber off. So I'm going to take off this rubber. I'm going to show you right now what I'm up against. If you look up in there, it looks like a washer in there. That's a metal sleeve, like a pipe, that goes right up in there. And it's solid. Does not move. I take my 3/8 bar, stick it up in there, and it doesn't move. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on it, because I think the damn thing goes all the way up into here. This was not on the driver's side, but for some reason it is here. So when I put this hose clamp on, I thought I was putting everything around the bolt, but obviously I was putting it around a sleeve, which was where the bolt went into. Now, it only goes this far. I'm estimating about 2 inches before it hits the nut up in there. So I can't put that rubber in there, because it will be down too low and it won't thread up inside. The bolt is exactly 4 inches long. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to leave this Mickey Mouse thing in here. It's solid. And screw up the bolt in there. I'm going to try to put the bolt in with the big 3/4 inch rubber on there, but I tell you right now, it won't, because the bolt needs to be longer if I did that, and the damn thing would be way down to here. Not a problem, of course, because you got your frame and everything, but it would look stupid being down there. So I can drive this out, but then I'd have to go out and get some garden hose like I was going to do and slip it over the bolt. And that's what I was going to do when I was going to take these mounts off the top. But I'll tell you what, this thing could be a bigger job and harder job than I thought. It's good and solid, and there is no, let's see if I can get some light up in here so you can see. I don't know if you can see that donut up there. But it's in good shape. Alright. It just caught just now. So I had to take this rubber out. So it's going to have to be put back in, and the only difference is it's going to have this heavy washer in there. At least the bolt is lubricated. I'm going to have to pick the brains of some guys in the body shop to find out. I don't know why that wasn't the case on the driver's side. I was able to do that quite well. At least I got the bolt out. I got the bolt lubricated, so I'll be able to get the bolt out again. I should be able to anyways. I just hope this goes in okay. We'll get the wrench on it and we'll sock it back up in there. What I don't want to do is create a problem and have this thing break loose and then be rattling in there and everything else and grinding and creaking like it used to, because all the noise was coming from the driver's side, and that I fixed quite well. And probably should have left this alone, but you know, I may not be able to do this job right, but it ain't gonna go anywhere once I tighten this down. So we'll come back on the video in a minute here. Well, I got it in there, but it didn't tighten up like the driver's side did. It almost felt like it was gonna strip out. I didn't have to force it. It went in there nice and easy. So I'm not gonna try to sock it down anymore. She's good and snug. The last thing I want that to do is be stripped out. So, well, that may just have to do, I guess. But I don't dare put any more pressure, because I feel that that thing could just strip out on me. I wasn't even cranking hard either. I was just snugging it up. The other side really tightened down good. So I think we're going to end the video. It's getting too noisy with these trucks and stuff going by here, and probably school buses too. So it's getting hard to talk on the video here without being drowned out here. So I'm going to say this is going to have to be good enough, I'm afraid, because this could turn out to be a job that I'm not going to be able to do. As long as this don't start creaking and groaning, I'm alright. It doesn't help to put all that WD-40 in there, because it's just going to rot the damn rubber out, and then it's going to be a problem for me. So that's it. That's all she wrote for today, and I'm afraid it's going to be another half-assed buddy cab mount job. That's the story. Thanks for watching.